Yeah.
Yay, I can see it. Thank you.
Okay. Did it go away? Like, did I have it right the first time and then it went away? No. Okay.
No, no,
Okay.
we didn't see the start of the slideshow, but that's okay. No worries.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So yeah, that's who RGD is. And it's built up of just about every facet of types of designers that you can think of. So more than likely, you're going to find somebody that is like you, whether it's a student, freelancer, manager, firm owner. Some people mentioned about being freelancers or and working, wanting to work in in-house environments. Educators, just about everybody is covered. We have lots of ways of communicating amongst each other. Obviously, the website, which Olivia is going to go on, all our social channels, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And there's tons of followers and tons of content. Some that is driven by the actual staff, but a lot that is driven by the actual volunteers themselves. And one thing that I'm just going to mention, and I sometimes I forget, and I always have to try and find a place where it triggers me to remember. But one key thing that is different, somebody mentioned GDC earlier. One of the big differences between GDC and RGD is that the RGD actually has paid staff. We have, I want to say six or seven paid staff. So that is why we are able to do all of the things that we do in a year. GDC, I believe, is like so many other associations that is driven by volunteers. And, I've been part of different associations, and if it's all volunteer driven, it's hard. All of us are busy. And so when you're asked to do things and make something come to life or happen, as a responsibility on a volunteer oriented association. It's very hard and it takes a long time to make things happen. But we are very, very lucky to have some amazing people in the RGD office, the remote office that we now have. Email communication. So we have webinar updates. We have RGD Word, which all of you should probably be getting. There's some screen captures of RGD Word on here. It is key to what the amount of information that is coming out on a regular basis. So everything in there about events, job postings. We usually have a volunteer of the month thing. There's about communities, about some of the other stuff that's going on, plus advertising and benefits, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really the key that gets pushed out to you on a regular basis, and then you can go from there to get more information. And then the president's message coming from Nicola. Networking, Slack community. So if you don't know me, I've been around for a long time and I've always made fun of Slack because Slack was for an old person just another way of communicating that sort of was overwhelming in the beginning because there was already so many ways for people to reach out as far as my day-to-day business world. And so adding Slack as another channel just seemed like, oh my gosh, don't we have enough? But I have to admit, I've come around and we have some people that do an amazing job. Olivia being one of those that's really made sure that Slack is the incredible resource that it is. There's tons of communities on there. We always say, whether it's a certain community or whether it's a certain question, um, you can always find what you want. And if there is a rare occurrence where you can't find what you want, then you just reach out to somebody at RGD, and more than likely something will be created, and then people will start following and filling that in. Local events, we do have local events. They are creeping up, out of virtual stuff, which was obviously predominant 2020 through 22. Now, in the last couple of years, we've seen more local in-person things creeping up that are smaller and more specific to local areas that RGD members and volunteers are creating. And then the RGD Book Club. Um, it's an amazing thing that started. It's somewhat new in the last year, and I believe that they are going back and forth between design books and business books, sort of thing. Sometimes they have the authors come on and do talks virtually with the group. sometimes they just talk about the books and what they've learned and anything about the author and other things the author's written. It's been a big hit, so it's gaining traction. Our professional awards, these cycle through. So not every year do we have all of the different awards that we do. So in-house design awards were 2024, and the branding awards, which were a few years ago, have now come back. So that's launching at the end of this month for later this year. Usually, I believe the branding awards are done and up for people to see at Design Thinkers in Toronto, October, November. Weekly webinars, great, resource for learning, and it's usually the hot topics. We've got everything, examples here. Accessibility has been a big one. There's a firm owners one. In-house has been a big one. So I mean, we keep it fresh. Like I say, there's lots of people that are working on these on a regular basis and getting these speakers to do these webinars. What not everybody recognizes is not only do certified RGDs get access to this stuff for free, but based on your level of membership, you actually get guest passes. So with certified RGDs, you get 30. With associates, you get 15, and affiliates get 10. So you can actually invite other designer friends or even just, anybody that you think might be interested in whatever the topic is for the webinar. And so you need to look into whatever level of membership you are to see how many guest passes you are and utilize those. Canadian Studio Crawl. So these are virtual tours of creative agencies across Canada, coming up in March of this year. Sometimes they do them around in-person ones around Design Thinkers, but this is pretty cool. We've been involved in the past. Fusion has my agency, because we have operated out of the basement of my house for years, even though people are mostly remote at this point. And then you have people that have in-person office space wherever that is, and then you have everything in between. So there's shared spaces, and there's people that have big offices for like 30 plus people. You have offices for 3 or 4 people. It really runs the gamut, which is very cool. As creatives, I think it's always interesting to see the environments that other people are working in, including, and that's why someone like us, it's interesting to see how a basement dweller like myself exists, and how you keep inspired. Design Thinkers, a few people mentioned Design Thinkers, which is probably our biggest claim to fame. And again, that claim to fame and its success is solely because we have those employees of the association that are working tirelessly all year, because we do have one that is in Vancouver. This year it's a little bit earlier. It's earlier, mid-May. Usually it's the end of May. And then we have the Toronto one, which has been going forever. Very different if you're interested on either side, or if you are, out west and you want to go to the Toronto one, or vice versa. I have been to both. Vancouver is a much smaller environment, so you usually around 500 people to 600 people, and there's no concurrent sessions. So you kind of are in one theater all day. So you get to see everything. If you are somebody that's averse to choosing things and making decisions, it's a great one, because you can sit in one place and you're not missing anything. Whereas Toronto is so big, we have keynote speakers at the beginning and the end of each day, and then we have concurrent sessions, about 4 running throughout the day. So you do have to go through the program and look at who's speaking, what the topics are, and pick what you think is best for you. My whole team goes, so we tend to spread out so that we can kind of get as much information as we can. Great event. I meet all kinds of people, like people I've met on these calls. It's amazing. I highly recommend it. Becoming a certified RGD. I know we had a few people mention that they are certified RGDs. Congratulations. The process is application, then there's an online test, virtual portfolio presentation, and then the presentation of results. You do have to study for it. I always say the best way I can describe it is it's not like a university program, but you do, we don't want to just hand out certifications to people for nothing. We want people to, anybody that's a fully certified RGD has to go through this process, and you should feel proud that you've gone through the process and succeeded and come out the other side with your designation. So the process is meant to do that. You know, it's not incredibly difficult, but it is, you do have to spend some time. You can't just do it, is what I would recommend. The path that we have for RGDs, we are involved in a lot of the different post-secondary programs. And so a lot of people are student RGDs. Some of them don't even know. This is one of the challenges we've had in the past because it may already be included in their tuition. Some students don't actually know that they were RGDs, official RGDs. They may have heard about it. So turning people into associates, which used to be provisionals when they come out of school, sometimes is a little more challenging because people didn't even realize they were on the path already. Um, to become an associate, you come out of school and then you have 0 to 8 years of experience. What some people get a little confused about is you can't stay as an associate indefinitely. You do have to make a choice at 7 years and 8 years. You have the opportunity to go through the process to become fully certified. If you wait past the 8 year mark, then you do get pushed into the other category of affiliate, which doesn't have nearly as many benefits. So that is something that we always say on these calls. You do have up to 8 years to be an associate in between school and becoming certified, or you have to become an affiliate. The RGD Handbook, if you don't have this resource already, I believe you can get it in PDF at RGD.ca. Mine is right over there across from me. It is a resource that I'm always looking at. I'd probably say, no joke, every couple of weeks I go and have a look at something just to see what's there. It's beautifully designed as well, which is always nice for anyone in our industry that likes printed pieces, but it is full of great information. And then the accessibility manual is also number 2, has been around for a while. Again, it's right over there on my bookshelf. Something that we look at, accessibility. I hate to say that it's only become such a big thing in the last few years. But with AODA compliance, et cetera, it's sort of get a push up front for people to be more aware of it. One of the things with accessibility is it can be a little confusing. There's a lot to know about it. And I've always said that this handbook does a great job of sort of making it more conversational language so you kind of understand what you're supposed to be looking for and how you can make a project better when it comes to, the example there about color usage, but fonts and contrast and all those kind of things. It's another great resource, and you can go on and I believe find a PDF on RGD.ca. Volunteers. So this is where everybody usually asks questions at the end about how can I volunteer? How can I get involved? There's lots of different ways you could, everything from becoming a speaker, doing a webinar, getting on any of the many committees. Easy ways to start is just getting involved in the RGD Slack communities and just watching and posting and helping and answering questions, etc. Especially those of us that are a little bit more senior that have a lot of experience in different facets of the business. Helping out and sort of mentoring in a more distilled way rather than a formal mentorship. Yeah, this actually shows the kind of things that we do for volunteers that we have. Amanda is a wonderful person as well. Virtual mentorship, like I just touched on, this is a great program that we have. One of the things that I've always loved about the mentorship program is we don't just take mentees and mentors and just whoever's available, put them together. There is a bit of a process where, we try to ask specific questions for mentees. What are you looking for? What do you want to learn? And then try and pair those mentees with mentors that have that kind of experience and knowledge. If somebody's a UI UX senior designer that owns a firm and you have somebody that wants to go in that direction, that's who we try to put them together with. It's not always possible. You have to have the right mentors available. But we do try to do that. And I think, It's obviously virtual or in person. It's up to the two to work that together, but it's a great resource. It's a great way for senior designers to give back and for younger designers to just learn tons and tons. I wish I had had this again, being a business owner back 20, 25 years ago when I was starting Fusion, because I feel like I did everything wrong, and it would have been nice to have had somebody as a sounding board that had gone through some of the pitfalls and asked them some pretty straightforward questions, I'm sure, to them, but to me it was such a huge thing. Virtual communities, again, not unlike the Slack communities, firm owners, municipal designers, just we've got everything, I think. And again, if you don't see something that is and says you, then reach out and see if you can set one up yourself. Code of ethics. We do a lot of work with this. Some of the things that you'll usually see in regards to the ethics side as advocates for our industry are contests and things like that that show up in the news. Where somebody has decided that they're going to do a contest for a new logo. Sometimes it's for a sporting event. I think that's something more recent. And so we try to push the fact that this should be professional designers should be bidding on this and being awarded projects. There's better ways to do things than to try and give away a free pizza for somebody that's designed a huge sporting event logo for nothing. So we certainly deal with that. And out of that comes Spec Work. This is a campaign that we've been doing forever, free, fee, or flee. It's not easy to say, but it's very, very important, especially for younger designers who get taken advantage of an awful lot. Um, you know, Senior designers remember, and junior designers, you're right in the midst of it, doing freelance work where you're doing it for family and friends, and they've got all kinds of excuses where it's more work will come. Give me the first one for free or at a reduced rate. Um, you know, if you do this, it'll help your portfolio. It'll give you more work to show. There's all kinds of excuses, and we're trying to really squash that because it doesn't do our industry any good, but also it doesn't do the individual junior designers any good because once you've done a few projects for free, it's very hard to try and charge after that. Those clients tend to go away fairly quickly after they've taken advantage, and it's very hard to build up a rapport and people that come back. So again, it's about teaching people how to deal with the hard questions about money and billing, etc. Biannual National Salary Survey, which is called Creative Earners. I believe it's still available right now. Deadline's February, so we have another month. Big deal in our industry, and it's been picking up steam every year. We do now get respondents from across the country, which is great. The more people we get, obviously, anything to do with surveys, the better the information. It's not skewed towards large urban centers. It's not skewed towards big agencies. So it tries to give you a great cross section of who is doing what, how much they're getting paid, how happy they are doing that, what kind of roles are out there, what roles are expanding, contracting, et cetera, et cetera. So if you haven't done it yet, go online and do it. So I know that was an awful lot in a very short period of time. I'm going to turn it over to Olivia to walk you through RGD.ca. But just so you know, I've taken a screen capture of everybody that's on the call that has shown up off the registration list, and I do a follow-up email. I usually like to say it's in the first week, but if I get busy, just watch in the next couple of weeks. And I usually CC Olivia and myself and Zaria and Hillary from the RGD office, just so that everybody, if you have any questions, there's lots of us to respond to, and feel free to contact any of us with any questions, and I'll attach the PDF of this presentation so you have it as a reference point. I'm going to shut up for a minute. Olivia?
Thank you so much, Brent. That was a fantastic run through of all the work that we've been doing, which is so wonderful. I'm going to start by just showing a quick run through of how the website should look when you use, your member info and login. So I'm going to share my Chrome tab. Can you guys see the Chrome tab I'm looking at right now? Awesome. I saw some nods.
Yep.
Great. So the most important thing to get yourself started is this little profile sort of area in this top corner. So clicking here, you'll have access to your login information. To get that, probably would have to contact Zari if you're having trouble logging in, but it should look something like this where you can see your profile, edit it, and update it. I have like a little get to know me paragraph, a little information here. And then in this sort of top navigation here, you have kind of like the 3 most visited parts of RGD. So we have the certification tab, which takes you through different like sort of certified kind of like case studies, how to apply. I can see this because I'm an associate RGD. If you're already certified, I don't know if you really see this tab or need it, but that's what it's here for. And then the membership tab is one of my favorites because it kind of takes you through all of the best benefits, like highlight reel of member related benefits in here. You can sort of see some quotes from some of our lovely members. Access to our video library, which has all of our like Design Thinker Conference related videos in there. So I'll revisit some of those if there's like a topic I want to learn more about. You can get connected to the Slack community through here and apply for the in-house design awards if that's what you're doing. And there's also discounts, which I love. So you can see all discounts and see discount codes. I've used it. I think at one point we had like a Bell discount. I don't know if we still have it, but stuff like that you can find through here, which is wonderful. And you can learn more about how to be a part of the network and volunteer. So lots of really fantastic parts here. And then for folks looking for work, all of the jobs that get posted at RGD are in this top tab here. And you can kind of get a quick sense based on some of these little tags, what they're kind of looking for and how to apply. So another great way to find work. You can subscribe for our newsletter. And that's always fun. Members of the community post all kinds of articles here about what's happening in the sort of design community in Canada. And if you ever want to write an article, we also invite people to kind of join the sort of newsletter group and write articles or help with writing them. And then I'll take us to the homepage here. Where you can kind of see at our upcoming featured events, you can learn more about recent articles that have been published. I love reading through the like mentor or mentee kind of like what's it post that they put up here so I can see what other mentees and mentors are doing in their projects or any like related articles that are super fun to read through. You can see our upcoming events on the homepage, which is super lovely. So for those of you in Calgary, there's a networking event, or London, Ontario. You can see our upcoming virtual webinars, which I love. And the rest of these are a few more sort of related resource kind of tabs. So if you're working in design, if you're a student, sort of designer, freelancing, teaching, or running an agency, all of the resources are kind of pooled here. So you can have a more like filtered search for what it is that you're looking for, since there are so many resources related to the RGD website. That'll help, I think, get you what you're looking for if you are looking for one of our resources. There's a tab here about hiring designers. If like your company is looking to hire other designers via RGD, or if you kind of want to see what it's like finding designers through this page. This is where you can see more of our educational related resources. There are many, so feel free to ask any questions after our chat if there are things you want to kind of get involved with, and more articles. So I think that about covers the homepage really quickly. That way, I think I can give us a bit of time to pass it over to Megan to talk a bit about events. That sounds good.
I just want to say before Megan starts, it's amazing, Olivia, having you run through it because your page is actually filled out. And Ian always goes through it and always says, "Oh, I wish my page was filled out." So I think that's hilarious. Um, One of the things, just as a lead in to talking to Megan, as an example of how you can get involved, is being involved in the committees is, in my opinion, one of the best ways because you're sort of in an environment once a month. Um, and you're doing some stuff, but it's not a heavy lift. You're not being asked to like reorganize something, and you can only take on, you only have to take on what you agree to take on. um but I think it's a great way to get involved and meet some people, and then it's sort of consistent, so you get to know those people a little bit more. And you really do, this is definitely an association where you get out of it what you put into it. On the rare occasion that we've had people, sometimes as the leader of the membership committee in the past, I've had to do a few exit interviews for people that decided that they didn't want to be in RGD anymore. And the answers are usually the same, in that they didn't really get a lot out of it. They were really looking to get business communications out of it or work out of it. And that's not really what the association is about. It's about the community. Like everybody that's on this call today, and this is a very general group, but you can get down to as granular as you want with certain types of designers. If you're an in-house designer that works on a certain type, of design, whether it's corporate design or websites, then you could probably find a community to talk to about that. And then a lot of us sort of exist in these remote worlds where you're kind of, a few people mentioned it, being sort of alone in your own little box, trying to be creative and inspired every day. And that could be difficult. So having a virtual group of people that you can reach out to, whether it's to chat with in this environment or whether it's to go on Slack and just go back and forth asking questions, or what do you think the best way is to do this? But if you just sit back and you join the RGD and now you're an associate member and you don't post anything or get involved in any committees, you're not going to get that much out of it. So that's just sort of a warning that, you know, hopefully everybody kind of mentioned community and making connections. So this is a good segue to Megan, and I know her committee is looking for some new fresh people, and it's some exciting cool work. Ethics committee, it's not always the most exciting cool stuff, admittedly. Reading through contracts, etc., and pushing back and going out to the media and government. But Megan's is awesome.
Thanks, Brent. I'm totally biased, but I think the events committee is the best committee. But yeah, we get to do a lot of fun things, a lot of which Brent has mentioned in the presentation, including in-person local events. So a lot of you mentioned that you want to be able to connect with other designers, and beyond just the typical networking and handing out business cards and things like that, our in-person local events allow you to kind of go to trivia nights together, grab drinks together. We have like scavenger hunts or Minds of Design talks, or we used to have virtual crafting sessions or Lego typography sessions, really things that are kind of like design adjacent, but allow you to bond and build community and friendships and relationships with other people and other designers. You're not just necessarily focusing on work and strategy, although we do have events that focus on work and strategy if you are interested in that side as well. We also do a lot of the big conferences that we talked about. So I'm an in-house designer, so I'm always involved every year in the in-house design conference. And the more I get involved, the more I'm encouraged to be pushed out of my shell. I'm very, very introverted. the last couple of years, I've been emceeing the in-house design conference, which was terrifying, but also without the RGD, I wouldn't have had that experience and that ability to go out of my shell to do that professional development. So if things like that interest you, or you're scared to like start somewhere and you kind of want that push and that community of support, the events committee can be there for you to do that. We're also really involved in design thinkers. So if you want to join the committee and help with speaker outreach, you think like, oh, I really love this designer, I'd love to hear them speak at a conference. We'll see if we can make that happen. Any kind of events or get-togethers or social nights around the Design Thinkers Conference that you want to help plan. Any cool ideas in terms of interactivity or UX or icebreakers or workshops at the conference, like feel free to input your ideas or even take the lead on making that happen. If you love logistics, like I love logistics, then, and you do want to like organize stuff, that's also something that we do. We also have a virtual video library that I think Olivia showed a little bit on the website. So if you are interested in kind of helping build that library, inputting videos or building courses based on accessibility or business best practices or something that you're specifically interested in, just finding videos and putting together courses. That's something that we're looking for volunteers to help with. The Great Canadian Studio Crawl, so helping coordinate studios, either getting volunteers or just doing research, thinking like, oh, that's a really cool building I saw in Toronto. Let me reach out and see if they want to submit a video, anything like that. So yeah, and any other ideas for events, particularly if you are outside of the GTA. We have volunteers in Atlantic Canada, specifically Moncton, and some in Calgary and BC. I think Vancouver and I think just Vancouver. But we're looking for volunteers who are in like Nanaimo, Victoria, or any of the other provinces, or even small towns in Ontario, really to build that community within those areas, because we want to avoid being as GTA centric as possible. And yeah, I think just having that monthly meeting with designers and getting to chat and see what they're up to and just have fun with them is a great selling point for the committee too. So if any of you have ideas or you want to join, feel free to ask me questions, or I'll leave my email in the chat, or maybe Brent will send it up in the follow-up email.
Yep.
But yeah, I think
Does
it's a
anybody
great
want to
way
commit right now?
I think it's a great way to kind of give back to the community, as Brent said, like you get what you put in, and by helping create all these amazing events, you also get to participate in all these amazing events. So yeah, please join if you want.
Think you got one already. Nice work. Okay, we have almost 7 minutes left, which I think is amazing because we always give so much information in what seems like a very short period of time, and it can be overwhelming, and we get that, hence the follow-ups. But does anybody, now it's, your turn. Anybody have any questions? Could be about RGD in general, stuff that wasn't covered today, stuff that we covered but glanced over very quickly. We did an awesome job. Nobody has any questions. And we signed somebody up for Meghan. So if nobody has any questions, I can certainly give you 6 minutes back to your day. Like I say, we'll follow up and get you the presentation and the email addresses for the rest of us. Feel free to connect on LinkedIn, etc. if there's any questions that come after, please don't hesitate to reach out. And yeah, hopefully start with the Slack channel. I think that's probably as much you would, I'm always surprised Olivia doesn't laugh as soon as she hears me say that, because a number of years ago I would have just said some very rude things about Slack and how I didn't want to know another way to contact people. But man, it's a great resource, and especially the way it's kept up. So I would say start there, find one of the communities, and then and start participating that way. And then on top of that, if you're brave enough to start quickly onto one of the committees, it's a great way to meet some people, and you don't always have to be right into it. Sometimes it's good to just sort of sit there and listen and get up to speed, and everybody understands that. Usually when you get to the opportunity to join the board, most people that are on the board already will tell you that the first year is like drinking from a fire hose. So their expectations of you are not that high because there's so much to learn and take in. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been involved in the board, but I'm old enough and was involved long enough ago that they were still in-person events, and it was just transitioning to all virtual, which goes to show that we now have people from across the country, whereas most of the people were still able to go to the RGD office when we had that. It's a great environment. I really believe that the people that are involved and regularly communicating in the communities, I don't think if you were somebody that wasn't a nice person or interested in helping people, you would be involved. That's what I've seen. So I don't think anybody should ever be worried about reaching out or asking a question or this sounds ridiculous, why am I asking this? That's never the case, because something that seems ridiculous to you is easy for somebody else to answer, and sometimes it's a question that somebody else had and they're like, oh my gosh, somebody posted what I wish I'd asked, and then they watch for that answer as well. That's great. It was nice to meet everybody today, and yeah, hopefully we'll see some of you at some live events and maybe bump into each other virtually as well.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay,
Bye.
take care.
Thanks a lot, Aurora.
Bye.
Much. Take care.